we're live. I really dig that music. Do you like that?
I kind of do too. It kind of has that, that cool Vegas Merv Griffin kind of.
Yeah,
I like it. I like
it. Me in the mood.
Yeah.
So today the question is, have you ever had to rebuild with nothing, having lived, a great portion of your life? So starting over, not in the beginning of your life, but in the middle part of your life. And that's going to be the inspirational story we're going to hear today from our guest. But first, our sponsors, Blue Sky Video Productions. Bruce Himmelblau is our producer and the man. He makes our show run smoothly, even when Michelle and I are not running smoothly.
As if that would ever happen.
Right. And Cards That Wow. Send a note card or branded art piece that when your client opens the envelope, they will say, wow.
And they really will.
Yeah. So how was your day today, Michelle?
You know something? I am rewriting a policies and procedures manual that's about, 3,000 pages long. And it was last revised, I think, in about 1972. So I'm on page 17. So it took me all day.
Well, I'm proud of you.
What I'm doing.
I'm proud of you because when I talked to you earlier, you were on Facebook, and I had to tell you.
Kellen has been tasked with keeping me on task, and that's not. I busted myself out a couple times because I would comment on one thing. I even tagged her in on Facebook, and she's like, what are you doing on Facebook?" So thank you. I just need somebody's foot on my hind end all day long. And I've got to get this finished by, this is for Debbie Nelson. Debbie, if you're watching, okay, or watching the replay, I will get it done. I have until December 3rd, I think.
Oh,
yeah. But I'm only working like 2 days between now and then. So that's okay. Work at home. That's what we do. That's
Great.
What we do.
Good.
So we are so glad that everybody is with us tonight. If you are watching, please comment, put your name and where you're from in the comment section. Let us know that you're here. Say hello. And if you're watching the replay, we would love to know that as well. If you could just put your name, again, where you're from, and hashtag replay. Let us know that you're here. And please share this out. And exciting news, we now have a YouTube channel, and we now have enough subscribers that you have to use both of your hands to count them. So if you would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, we would love to have you. And it's going to get prettier and better as we go. Last week, I said that we've got the channel, but there are no videos on it. And we have rectified, or Bruce fixed that for us. So there's a couple more things. We're going to put a little more lipstick and rouge on it, but it's going to be fantastic. So please subscribe, and maybe Bruce sometime can put up the link. That would be fantastic.
We are a work in progress.
We are, and thank you for coming along with us on this journey. Kellen, how was your day?
Fabulous. It was fabulous. I just been busy all day. It's nice not having the distraction of a job.
You want to talk about that, Annie?
No, we'll talk about that later. I want to get to our guest. Oh, wait, but I do need to tell you, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, we are going to have a drawing for a free page in our mutual friend, Brian Monahan's new book. So you will be an author or a co-author with some pretty amazing people. So if you have questions about that, put it in the comments and we'll answer them for you. Yeah. And so please subscribe so you can have a chance to win.
Yeah, and Brian is fantastic. If you're not familiar with him, Brian Monahan is a fellow Megaminder. We love him. His book, do you have it there with you? Customer Delight 365. Wonderful. Please try to pick that up if you can. Oh, I think she's got it. I've got mine at work. So, and here it is. Really, really cool book. So I think you'll enjoy it.
So you will be part of a book similar to this.
Yes. Yes.
What is it? It's Live with Delight, right?
Live with Delight or Live with Delight, however you choose to say it. Yeah.
And we're all picking our own quotes. And
pretty exciting.
It's going to be great. But let's get our guest here.
Okay. Our guest is Kristi Buhler Roberts. And Kristi is coming to us live from Huntington Beach, California. We are so happy to have her. As Kellen mentioned earlier, You talk about going through some stuff.
Mhm.
This woman has, and she has come out on the other side stronger, and just has fought her way through. So she inspires us, and we know that she will inspire you too. So Christy, welcome.
Welcome.
Hey Christy, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm very honored.
Do you like our music?
I love it. I love everything about the show.
It's really jazzy, like us.
I love it. I'm like,
You guys are so cute. I love it.
Well, good. Well, so Christy, man, girl, you got a story.
you do.
You want to just hop in, just tell us what you want us to know.
I will. Well, first of all, thank you again for having me on. And I want to welcome anybody who's watching. And, my story, I think my goal of sharing my story is to really connect with any woman out there and man too, but who might be going through a rough season, and really just to give hope. I started out as a woman with a lot of dreams, a lot of goals. I was a good student. I went through a university program, graduated with honors, and had a lot of big dreams and goals, like a lot of women do. I really wanted to get married, settle down, and pop out a lot of babies. That was really my main goal. And I fell in love with my husband I was 25 when we met. We got married at 27. And I can say I'm now 49. So it's been, 22 years. And I could just say the past 22 years, nothing about my life has gone remotely the way that I planned, the way that I dreamt, the way that I prayed. And I did a lot of praying, and apparently that doesn't always, God doesn't always work things out the way we would like them to work out. So there's that. And I found myself, I had a beautiful little boy. Before I had my son, we went through some infertility issues, which of course I know so many women relate to that. Mm-hmm. And of course, you never plan for infertility. I went through premarital counseling with my then husband, and you don't sit down and discuss, what are you going to do when you are trying to have children and it doesn't work, right? So that's kind of one of the things that kind of creeps up. And I came from a large family, so it was part of my value system, something I really wanted. But by the grace of God, we did go through fertility treatment. We were able to have a child. And I think my son was about 5 years old when we found out that my father was diagnosed with cancer. And my father was a very special man to me. We were very, very close. He was my hero. I had never kind of imagined life without my dad, which sounds, I know that's something you have to contend with at some point, but I guess I wasn't ready to do that yet. And when my father, we had 2 years with him. He had pancreatic cancer, and he did surprisingly well. And we had time, which really is, they call it the gift of time, And again, for anyone out there, I don't think there's anybody whose life hasn't been touched by cancer in one form or another, And it's pretty brutal to watch a loved one go through that. And, after he passed, that was now almost 8 years ago, I had such a transformation of my entire personhood, who I was from head to toe. And I found out later, I read a random article one day, years later, from a woman who had gone through the same thing. Her life really just completely transformed once, I think it was her mother died. And that was also a huge turning point in my life. So again, for anyone out there who's lost a loved one, like, these are not lessons, or trials that are unique to me at all, but especially when you lose a parent, it can transform you as a person in ways that you are not prepared for. And we had plenty of time to prepare. It's not that we were surprised, when it was his time to go, but I found myself in a lot of grief, obviously. And about 2 years into the grief process, and that's also part of my message is grief, because in my journey since then, I have, especially as a health coach, I have worked with many, many, many women, hundreds of women. And I found an interesting correlation between grief and how women treat themselves, I should say. And I mean, I don't know if it's our culture not giving women permission to face grief or, own grief or talk about grief. But it's interesting because I taught nutrition classes, and after my father's death, the way that I taught the classes completely changed. It became more of a life coaching class for these women. We weren't just talking about calories. Suddenly we were talking about the multiple losses and the grief journeys that they had all been on that we never brought up before, and we went around the table and every single woman had a story of a loss of a loved one, or maybe multiple miscarriages or loss of a child, multiple tragedies, that maybe they had gone through in their lifetime that they didn't feel that they had a place to talk about or to bring to the table. There's kind of a sense of like, oh, just get over it, just snap out of it. That's kind of like the message that they had heard often, whether it was like in our culture, or maybe it was in church, or maybe it was with their friends. I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. So, so for me, it was going through that grief journey. And about a year after my father passed, I tried fertility treatment again. And I did get pregnant. And then unfortunately I miscarried. And I think at that point, my body was so traumatized from the fertility process. We did a lot of shots and needles, and the grief of losing, the child, and we're still dealing with losing my dad. And it was what I call kind of like a turning point moment for me. And again, I think many women go through this. I was in my early 40s. And I've heard this story over and over and over again. So again, if there's women watching who say, oh yeah, I went through that, where it's kind of like a waking up, almost like I don't want to say it's a midlife crisis, because that's not how I felt. It was just kind of like a waking up to looking back over the past 15 or 20 years of my life and really evaluating, where was I, what was happening with my life. There was a lot that I had sacrificed, and there was a lot that I had put aside, kind of put onto the shelf of the dreams and goals I had for myself. And it's no one's fault. It's nobody's fault. I wasn't a victim to that, though they were just choices that I had made. But in the meantime, I was not where I wanted to be. And unfortunately, my marriage started to suffer. I was in a broken place physically. I was overweight. I was just broken, heart, body, mind, soul. And again, I know so many women who've been through so much more trauma. It's not a matter of like comparing the trauma as much as identifying when you get to that place of brokenness where you feel like your whole life is out of your own hands. And I know so many women who relate to that feeling. It's a disempowered feeling. And it's a sense of you're asking God a lot of questions, like what is happening right now? And why is it this way? I know that question of why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? And again, not from a place of victim, but more of a place of pain. And I think for me, it was a realization that maybe I wouldn't be able to have more children. Maybe that was my last opportunity, which I had probably been dreaming about having babies since I was 10. I just always wanted to have a lot of kids. So I hit a real dark point. And I'll just say that there was a moment where I'll never forget. I was looking in the mirror, and I know a lot of women can relate to this. And I saw my kind of like distended abdomen. It was right after my miscarriage. I just looked in the mirror and I saw this kind of broken, beat up woman. And I had this inner voice that was getting ready to start kind of beating me up even more. As a health coach, you should be a better example for your clients. Look at what you've done. Look at how you let yourself go, kind of like that inner critic. And I had this really amazing moment where I call it my inner advocate, which is these are just like the conversations we all have in our own head, But for the first time in my life, I had a stronger voice who spoke up inside of me. And she said, she kind of like got in between me and like my inner bully, so to speak. And she said, you're not going to beat this woman up. This woman was just trying, she's only out of shape and like completely broken up because she was trying to add love and a baby to this family. And we're not going to take her out. We're not going to kick her when she's down, because if you kick her now, she may not get back up. She's already in so much grief and pain, and she's looking for hope. And she's looking around trying to figure out what's going on with her life and where did her life go? Where did the past 15 years of her life go? And it was a moment I'll never forget, because that I call her inner advocate came up and kind of said, you know what, from now on, we're going to align with yourself. We're going to be your own best friend, and we're not going to put you down. We're not going to speak negatively about you. We're not going to criticize your appearance. We're not going to criticize your past. We're not going to criticize your future. We're not going to allow that anymore. And we all relate to the societal messages, and what, we all grew up little girls in this culture. So whatever you were raised with, whether it was other people saying negative things to you, whether it was your parents or school teachers or friends or bullies at school, or maybe your own inner voice of comparing yourself, to others, whatever that inner critic voice is, which again, I know everybody relates. For the first time in my life, she was silenced. And she kind of got put in her place. She was like, oh, snap. Okay, I guess I won't beat up this woman. I guess that's not going to be the best way to motivate her right now. And that was a turning point for me. And because then I remember looking in the mirror and kind of making a pact with myself, just looking in my own eyes and saying, you know what, I got your back. I got your back now. I have your back. Like, life doesn't always go the way we want it to go. A lot of circumstances don't go our way. Sometimes, yes, we are victims of other people's terrible treatment. Sometimes we're just victims of circumstance. But I think I took my power back in that moment. I took responsibility, full responsibility for my life. And I couldn't even blame God. It's like you try to look around for who can I blame for my life kind of being in shambles right now. We weren't financially where we needed to be. We had gone through the economy crash. So we had lost our home and lost a car and filed bankruptcy. I mean, everywhere I turned, I saw brokenness. Mm-hmm. And it took about 9 months for me. I kind of made a pact with myself. I'm like, we're going to build your body back, build your heart, build your soul back, figure out your new dreams. But we're going to do it from a place of love for yourself. And really it was me seeing myself the way that God sees me, versus how the world saw me, or my mom saw me, or my friends. No more judgment, because all of us only answer to God. We answer to our Creator, regardless of your belief system. You answer to something hopefully bigger than yourself, right? We don't answer to each other at the end of the day. And I think that just comes from maturity, right? We all have to grow and go through maturity. Anyway, that was my path. And I rebuilt, took about 9 months to rebuild my sense of self. And unfortunately, during that process, my marriage did kind of disintegrate. And that was of course, that was a very painful, heartbreaking process as well. So fast forward to today, it's been about 6 years since that time. I ended up having to move out and rebuild my life as a single mom, a single woman. I was renting rooms from other people with my son, had to rebuild my business and reinvent myself. I went through probably 2 or 3 years of just hiding in the shower and sobbing on the shower floor while the water ran so that my son couldn't hear me cry, millions and billions of tears. So if anyone out there has been through that, I get it. And I think my final thoughts are just to encourage, number one is taking personal responsibility. At the end of the day, no one's going to come and rescue anyone. Okay. It's remembering who you answer to. And, my second point is just that, it started with loving myself completely and accepting myself completely, and knowing that I am my belief system. I am a daughter of God, and that He has my back, and I have to have my back too. So I've rebuilt a lot of my life. My son is 13. He's thriving. His dad and I get along great. We've done a lot of healing. We're co-parenting great. I've done a lot of rebuilding of my business, but it's amazing how much work it takes to restore your confidence when you've been at the bottom of your version of bottom. A lot of therapy, a lot of journaling, a lot of praying, a lot of crying, facing my own deepest pain, and kind of taking ownership of the stuff I got to deal with, taking care, owning my own crap, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Don't know what kind of language we're allowed to use here, but
whatever. You can own your own crap. Absolutely.
Okay. And, I just want to encourage anyone out there that it's possible to build yourself back up. And, I have many, many dreams and goals, and I feel like the sky's the limit for me. And just my final thought is that, part of my legacy is to share my story. And so I want to thank you for giving me a chance to share it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have some questions. Do you have some questions, Michelle? Or
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, like 3 of them popped up while you were talking. First of all, what do you think it was that woke up your inner advocate? Like you didn't just wake up one day and go, "Oh, I'm gonna win today."
Yeah.
You know? It's like what do you think helped build that up and made it stronger so that it could speak louder than the enemy?
The negative. Yeah, that's a great question. I've thought about that a lot. I think part of it is age and maturity. So I feel like I've spoken to many women who relate to that moment. And you ladies probably do too, because you're doing this show, which means there's something in your life that has clicked, that you feel the need to, you feel the passion to empower other women. I think it was something about turning 40, that age and that maturity. I think up until 40, to be totally honest with you, I lived a lot of my life for other people. I gave more of myself away than I probably should have, but I did it because of love, you know, but I laid down a lot of my life. I sacrificed too much of my life. And so part of it too, I think, was my dad being gone, because in a way it was my dad's strength in me that came back and rose up in me, if that makes sense. He was always a cheerleader for me. So I think him not being there, like here on the earth, he was kind of my rock, but he was also kind of my safety net.
He was kind of your crutch, kind of, huh? Yeah.
And I'm one of 7 kids. And so I think we've all discussed with him not being here, we've all had to kind of like grow up a little bit, kind of put on our big girl, big boy panties, and kind of, I just had to I think it was, he wasn't here anymore to fix it for me. And I did look to my husband to fix it for me, and he couldn't. And at the time I blamed him. Now I understand that wasn't his fault. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Makes sense.
So.
And then my other question was about grief. You said that with the women that you're coaching now, because I remember not grieving when my father died, when my father-in-law died, when I lost my baby. I never, like, it happened maybe 10 or 15 years later where, you know, but so do you teach them how to grieve, or do you just have to wait and let them have it happen?
That's a great question. You know, as I was going through it, I had many women say, please write this down. I actually have a kind of a book in the works. I had the good fortune of working in my teens for a grief therapist who is also an author. Yeah. And I actually kind of transcribed his books for him. So I was kind of programmed at an early age that grief was a thing, and that it was a thing to honor. And then I did go to therapy in my 20s, and I had a therapist who also taught me about grieving. So I think it kind of kicked in for me. But I think a great example, this will be an easy, practical example, visual for anyone watching, is, okay, pretend like this is full of marbles, and each marble represents grief. So what my therapist taught me is that every time you take a little bit every day, almost like it's like emotional exercise. It's almost like work you have to do every day, is to honor your feelings. And a lot of people are afraid to start crying or start the grief because they feel like they'll open up like Pandora's box. This is what I hear from a lot of my friends. I don't want to start crying because if I do, I'll never stop. But I can promise you, you will stop. And what I found is that, and what my therapist taught me was, if you just take one of the marbles out and honor those feelings, and I'll give you an example of what that means, then you can get to the bottom of the grief. You'll eventually get to the bottom and the marbles will all be gone. You can heal from grief. And so a practical example is, for example, getting in the shower and giving yourself 15 or 20 minutes of just crying your eyes out. Sometimes it's hard to access that. I have many friends who are like, we don't even know how to access that grief. So playing a really sad song, you know, looking at pictures that make you sad. I'm not kidding. Like something that helps you access the sadness. Getting in your car, a great thing I used to do is get in my car, put on some really sad music, drive safely, but drive down the highway or by the ocean, or go somewhere, drive by a lake, and just cry and roll down your windows and cry loud and scream loud and let it all out. You know, no one's around listening. And even if they are, they're never going to see you again. But releasing the emotion is so important. And it's not easy to do. It's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. It's very healing.
I always wonder why we always chose the shower, you know? I was in the shower crying. Oh, so was I. So was I. So was I.
I heard
it's like a commonplace.
Yeah, because you can do it. You can kind of look a little crazy, and I mean, you could look like a total. We call it ugly cry. My girlfriends and I, you can ugly cry. No one's judging you. You can get out of the shower and kind of act like you're fine, and
you're clean.
What?
And you're clean.
Exactly. And hopefully the water is kind of helping the face not get so tough.
I'm not meaning to make jokes of this.
No. we got to keep the humor in it, because it's true. Yeah. It's an ugly process, but the good news is you get through it, and there's so much healing on the other side, and there's so much grace. I can look back now with gratitude at, and again, my trauma is my trauma. It's not the worst trauma in the world, but in the moment it felt like it, and now I can look back with gratitude. And
sure. But, even when that's going on, if it's not, even if you're not in the worst situation of anyone on earth, though, Christy, that's still your world.
Mm-hmm.
That's your emotions and your grief and your feelings of despair. And, I'm really relating to what you were saying, and really have to think about what you're saying. I will probably rewatch this several times. I am so blessed that I still have both of my parents. Mm-hmm. I'm 53 years old, still have both of my parents. And, I'm an only child. Mm. So I know that one of these days, and hopefully it's years and years from now, but I'm going to have to, and we all lose our parents. I mean, that's the normal order of life. Your parents go before you do. But I can't imagine, because I do still feel like, my parents, I'm their little girl. I'm 53 years old. I have grown children. I run a business, but I still feel that way. And today at work, I was, banging out my SOP manual, and I look up, and my office door is full view glass. And I look up, and there goes my dad trotting by. And he had been to a doctor's appointment and just stopped by, to say hello. And that just means the world to me. And, I hope I don't take things like that for granted. And I'm sure that I do. And I know that probably both of you guys would give anything to have had that happen today. But I'm really going to have to think about, because I can't imagine what that grief is going to be like. And again, I'm so blessed. I've never lost anyone that was. Now I've lost all of my grandparents now, although I had all four of my grandparents at my wedding, and I got married at 25. That's almost unheard of. And a great grandparent, actually. Wow. So yeah, really, really kind of cool.
Yeah. I think other people minimize other problems, and a problem is a problem. It's not a contest. Or
exactly.
What you're going through.
Right. Exactly.
You shouldn't minimize it yourself, because it's not as tragic as something.
It's what happened to someone else. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a good point.
I see, for you, Michelle, I see the way I see it now is, my dad poured. I mean, he used to call it experience collecting when he I'm looking at the comments. So do we come back and answer the questions? Oh.
Bam's just being a smart.
Okay.
Yes, 3 years ago, Bam.
3 stone cold smoke shows.
Oh,
thank you, Bam.
I'll for sure come back to your show now. No. I think I have a different point of view now, which is that I look back over the years. My dad created memories with us kids, and poured just. I mean, years and years and years of love and support and memories. And my mom too. Thankfully, my mom is still here and we're very close. But he poured so much into me that when he left, and it took, like I said, a couple of years for me to kind of come out of the grief shock, which is a real thing. Now I can look back, and I 8 years later, I feel mostly gratitude. I don't feel this desperate, longing for, it was years of longing, wanting him back, but I see what he poured into me. It's my job to turn around and pour into others. It really is. It's not a cliche thing. So what you've been poured into, Michelle, what's been poured into you is you're turning around and pouring it into the world. And I'm sure you do this all, in your life constantly, into your children and into the people around you, the people you work with, because so many people, especially right now, don't have it. It's so many people are in despair, as you said, and somebody made a comment about depression, anxiety. They didn't have both of their parents. Yeah, the comment about struggling with depression. I mean, it's everywhere. If you click on social media, most of what I see right now is just anxiety. And I don't feel anxiety. I'm passionate about what's going on, but I don't feel anxiety. I don't feel afraid. So yeah, that's a way to turn around and kind of like honor my dad's legacy, is to give back, you know?
That's awesome.
So is that part of what keeps your momentum going, Christy? Is that what is your inner advocate still vocal and bold? Have you just learned to listen?
She's very loud, and she's very my inner bully doesn't exist anymore. If she tries to pop up, I'm very nice to her. I've learned even to be nice to her. I don't get in fights with her. I just tell her she needs to settle down, and there's not room for her words, you know. Yeah. But you know, I feel very empowered. I feel yes, my inner advocate is really just me. Or maybe it was my dad's voice and my mom's voice too, that was kind of had to be recreated inside of me. And I think some people go through that in their teens. You know, I was just probably a late bloomer. And yeah, that's what keeps me going. You know, I spend very little time in emotional pain, whereas before I would say 90% of my day was that. Now maybe 2% of my day is that, you know, and it's still real. You know, I'm single. I still want to get married. I'd love to have another baby. You know, that's still a dream of mine. I
need to set her up with Ashley.
Yes, last week's guest. She was a dating coach. Phenomenal.
Oh, sounds
good. There's no hope.
Check out that show.
Okay.
There's no hope for me.
She said there's no hope for you. You know, I'm raising my son. I'm a single mom. I never wanted to be a single mom. There's a lot of new grief that crops up, but I just know how to deal with it on a daily basis so it doesn't store up in my body, which is another thing I teach my female clients, is how not to store that stuff in your body and create, you know, illness. But yeah, my inner advocate's very strong. She gives me all, I have a very aggressive schedule. I have a lot I expect of myself. I have lots of goals, things I have to do. And I don't really take a lot of excuses from myself anymore. I try not to anyway.
Well, so. And you kind of, Eric asked the question, what drives you? You've kind of been speaking about that, but is there anything else you'd like to say to answer his question? What drives you?
That is a great question. So again, going back to my dad was an extraordinary man, and he lived he lived 4 lifetimes in one. None of, you know, my siblings and I, my 6 siblings and I, we all discussed we could never, ever accomplish what he has. And we aren't supposed to. But there's a quote, "You completely live a big life," because he was always doing it, you know? So with him gone, I feel like I've been stepped up to the plate. And I feel that I have to fulfill my highest potential. I have a quote on my bathroom mirror that says something about stretch your potential until it's screaming for mercy. So
I love that.
That's great.
Yeah. I don't know if I said it exactly right, but yeah, lean into your potential until it's screaming for mercy. I've barely tapped into what, you know, if and anybody around me that I see living into their greatness, so to speak. And I don't mean that to be vain. I think sometimes greatness is the most humble person on the planet, you know, who's just maybe the person opening the doors at church, you know, every Sunday. But for me, I know we each have our own mission. We each have our own purpose. And I did make a lot of excuses, you know, over the years. Maybe I was too afraid, or maybe I wanted to deflect it and play small, but I kind of did want to play small. And now I know I can't. I mean, everything else I wanted, literally all of my dreams got obliterated. So I really don't have anything to lose to just play as big as I can, you know.
Isn't it fun to have a clear canvas? It's like you get this, I mean, you're starting over, but you have this blank canvas that you get to paint the picture that you want now.
It's true. It's a little terrifying.
Yeah, it sounds terrifying to me. The one thing though is, you know, when you think about, would I go back, you know, if I'd go back if I knew what I know now, that kind of thing. You know, I guess the good thing, something that I'm thinking would have been helpful for you, is that you did have that life experience and, you know, were smart enough or mature enough to listen to that inner voice, because let me tell you, that bully, nobody can beat us up like we beat up ourselves.
Oh, exactly.
And
We're
it's so
way worse than
easy.
anybody else.
And you're right. You do it in your teens, but it's still, it happened to me today. I've got a friend who I call up and say, tell me I'm smart. Tell me I'm smart. I need to hear that I'm smart right now because I don't think I can do this. And I know that's a goofy little thing, but it helps. And I need that because I'm telling myself I can't do it. So I need to work out my inner advocate. She needs,
I think everybody does.
Yeah.
And it's as simple, I'll give you another little secret. It's as simple as you identify the lie, which the lie is that you're not smart. That's a lie from your inner bully. And then it's so simple. It sounds so simple. You could go to therapy for a while. And I'm all about therapy. I'm advocate therapy. But my little trick is I just got a sticky note and I would write down the opposite of the lie. So I am, not only are you smart, but you're gifted. You're gifted and intelligent. And then you put it in first person. I am gifted. I am intelligent. And you just put that sticky note in your bathroom. It sounds so simple, but it's reprogramming your brain. It's, if you go study the brain.
Right. An affirmation. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's literally changing your identity, your concept of yourself. I found it took about 90 days, but I could reprogram all of the stories that they were mostly lies that I was living and I was believing,
Wow, Christy. So are you just striving to instill, I'm assuming, the same things into your son? Do you think it's different? Is it harder for girls than boys, or what do you think?
I don't know if there's like a gender difference. I think the men have different challenges we each have different challenges, but yeah, I'm teaching my son and he's pretty well programmed. And his dad, does a good job with him as well. And if he tries to speak out stories about himself that are limiting beliefs, we challenge him on it. So he's already clear. He wants to be a health coach too. And he wants to be he said he wants to be a motivational speaker too,
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
And I'm looking over here in the comments. Bam has said intuition, God is powerful. That, to me, in listening to you speak, when I think of my inner advocate, the first thing that I'm going to think of, I'm very strong in my faith, as I gather you are, that's God talking to me, But even then, sometimes it's so easy just to say, no, no, you're not, nor, don't listen. You're not good. You're not smart. You're not whatever. So,
well, that's because it's easier to keep believing that than to do the work to get rid of that belief.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you have a really cool quote on your Facebook page that we're going to share.
Oh, yeah.
It's not where you've been that counts. It's where you're going. And it sounds like you're going exactly in the direction you want to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you pleased with where you are now, Christy?
I am.
You should be.
I feel very grateful. You look back, it's not the path, my path looks really like jagged and full of like, you kind of see all the like the roadblocks and the failure, you look back and it's like, wow, that's not like the pretty picture I thought I would have.
It's not what we envision, is it?
No,
never is.
So, but that's my story. And I feel like it's what's created me to be who I am today. Again, that sounds a little cliche, but it's really true. And I'm still striving to hold on to the most important dreams, So I'm still in there, still hanging in there in the battle,
And you've got so much time left, Christy, though.
Mm-hmm.
You do. You're young and you've got your head on and you've got your vision. You're going to do exactly what you want to do. You are.
And how great is it that you have so much time that you changed it now instead of when you were 60 or 70 or, some people aren't as lucky and they don't realize things like that till way, way later in their life.
Yeah. You're a smart lady.
So I hope somebody young who's maybe listening can, learn from you and, do the work and make their life the way they want it to be.
Yeah. And know that it's okay to grieve.
Yes.
And that it's okay to own your feelings and express your feelings. That's something that I struggle with. Yeah. I can't even tell you how much.
Everybody does. I've never met, I mean, I'm telling you, like I said, in my nutrition classes, there'd be 15 women, and they would just, it would be like the first time that any of them had even ever brought up these things. And I was like, whoa, let's talk about it.
Right.
Let's just lay it all out there, you know? So, and that's a whole different, you know, topic, which is how we as women carry those feelings in our body.
Right. And like you said, we're always trying to, you know, I'm going to come last because I have to take care of everybody else and everything else first. And not only do I have to take care of them, but I want them to be happy. So then if there's any left, then you get that. And a lot of times there's not anything left.
Right. And we get the scraps. Yep.
Yeah. Very wise words, Christy.
Yeah. So you're coaching. Do you do one-on-one, or is it in groups, or?
Well, I work
in person right now, but when you did it.
Yeah, I work for a kind of a well-known nutrition company, and I do all kinds of different things. I work from home right now because of everything going on, but I do one-on-one appointments. I do group nutrition classes online. We do workouts. You know, I've been doing this for about 13 years, and I absolutely love it. So, and it always turns into more, because for women, it's not just calories. You can't just say, oh, let's get you on some calories. No. We're heart, mind, body, soul. You can't just, if I talk to a woman like she's just calories, it doesn't work. Yeah. Her inner, everything, you know, I have a whole kind of way I approach it. It's that their inner self will rebel because they don't want to be seen as like a program.
Right.
Work.
Right.
You know, it's just not going to work.
But, you know, that doesn't surprise me that you get into so much more, because I will tell you, I'm sure that you are a magnificent health coach, but you seem like a life coach to me.
Yeah.
Because you are a life coach.
It turns into that, you know. And my degree was psychology, but I didn't want to go deep into that. So this is where I get to source that. I get to, you know, I tell my customers, you're my customer, I'm not your therapist, but let's get into your head a little bit, because if we can get just into the psychology of it, and we keep it really fun and light, but it works great if we just identify, you know, again, for women, you just can't separate. If a lot of it is, you know, feelings that we've tucked into our body, and we eat our feelings, and
right. Oh yeah. It's all tied together. You know, you're upset or whatever, and you don't want to own up to it, but you will eat the Ben and Jerry's out of the carton. You will.
Of course. I mean, chocolate cake makes everything better.
It does. And yet we're laughing, but we have all done that, and we all know that. And even if you want to act like, no, I don't, yeah, you do.
Yeah, we've all
done
it.
Don't lie to us. Don't lie.
We know.
Let's see what Eric. We don't want to be vulnerable because we worry what people will think, when in reality, everyone is worried about themselves. Yes, that is crazy.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and I had a unique experience because my dad was a radio personality, so I grew up kind of like on the radio. So I didn't know. I grew up very vulnerable. We kind of had a lot of things exposed, you know. And so I didn't know that I tended to be the person that was pretty open with, you know, I didn't know people struggled with vulnerability. I had to like learn the opposite. I had to learn to like not push people, you know, because I was used to just like, let's just talk about everything, you know.
Right.
I agree. It's I mean, that's common. We want to impress the people around us, or we don't want to show our full selves, you know. And again, if you've had all your dream, anybody watching this who's my age, or, you know, who's hit 40 or beyond, you know that life throws you curveballs. So I take it like, what do we have to lose? Right. To just put it all out there. And
exactly.
And, you know, and just do it, because let me tell you, I don't have to tell you, it goes like that. It does. You know, when I think about, you know, people are starting to ask me now, what am I going to do? You know, when are you going to retire? And I'm thinking, retire? That's crazy. But then I think, well, I'm 53. You know, I probably don't need to be thinking so much about, you know, well, in 25 years, because in 25 years, you know, I'm probably going to be in the home. I don't know. You know,
I have a feeling you're not.
I hope not. My kids say I am. They're like, yeah, you're not living with us. Yeah. They're joking. I hope they're joking.
Don't worry, live with me.
Yeah, I'll live with Kellen.
Although I'm older. You'll be pushing me around.
But anyway, okay. Well, we do have some what's the word? Traditional or standard, I guess, questions that we ask every guest. And Kellen has one that she says is a little bit different today.
Usually we ask about moisturizer.
I do always want to know about moisturizer. So, Christy,
and eyeliner.
Moisturizer, just to lighten things up a bit, what do you use?
I actually use a skincare from the company that I work with. It's they do have nutrition and skincare.
Okay.
So, yeah, it took me a long time to find, because I have very dry skin.
Yeah,
so,
I do too.
Yeah, I lather it on, you know, and it just so happens that I loved it when this product line came out. It was probably 5 years ago.
Well, can you tell us what it is, or can you not say the name?
Yeah, I can tell. I work with Herbalife International. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
know I was allowed to brand myself. Huh?
And I knew that, but okay.
You need to watch our first show, and we can talk about. You'll hear about dry skin.
Oh, yeah. Kellen struggles with that too. Okay, what did you want to know?
What
Do you want to ask the eyeliner question?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I was going to skip that.
Then I have a new one.
I can't tell. Bruce, make Christy big again. I was going to try to guess. Make Christy.
No, Christy big, not us.
I still can't tell. Do you have an eyeliner?
I have a little bit of eyeliner. I got ready really fast.
Okay. Well, is that going to be pencil or liquid? We must know these things.
I'm serious about this.
You're adorable. It is pencil, and I think it's Wet and Wild, which I think it was 99 cents.
Okay. Well, hey, no, we had that conversation a couple weeks ago.
Oh, we're finding all the best stuff,
and it works.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I do. You know, I'm single mom status, so I spend a lot of money on my nutrition products. Yeah. I'm very picky about that. But I will budget a lot of other things. I'll spend money on my hair. I do spend money on. I always tell my hairdresser, good hair can cover almost everything else that's not so good. You could buy secondhand clothes. You could buy cheap makeup. You could buy.
That's what I'm banking on. Yep.
But I can't fake good hair, you know.
Right.
So.
Right.
That's right.
Okay. You and Michelle have the most beautiful lips. I don't know what happened to mine. Like I lost my top lip maybe when I was 40. And so my daughter shows me this stuff. It's called Lip Injection by Too Faced.
Oh.
Extreme.
Okay. Does it work?
Well, you put it on your lips and it burns like hell.
It burns.
It hurts. And do my lips look bigger?
Make her big. Hey, can you make her big, Bruce?
For me?
My
My bottom lip looks bigger.
Oh, not me.
They're beautiful. Like, do you use anything like this?
No.
Here, I'm going to show you. I'll put it on. It's like,
no,
it's
burning. It's burning right now.
Oh. You know that I was talking about this with somebody the other day. There are women who will take a glass and fill it with bees and put it on their mouth like this and let the bees sting them to make their lips pouty. My daughter, I don't think her dad will watch this. She conned her dad into buying her this like pimple sucker. But she tells me, she goes, I just used it on my lips. And I'm like, I don't know if that's good or if she should do that. Or I don't know. I'm worried.
They've got all these apparati that they sell on Facebook for that. It like sucks your mouth into.
I don't want to be a duck, but I just want top lip again.
You've got a perfectly lovely top lip.
You do.
It was bigger when I was younger. Like, so when you get older, do you lose your lip?
I don't know, but you've got that great jawline. You have like movie star jawline.
Yeah, and then I've got wrinkles that aren't like where they're supposed to be. They're like horizontal lines here and there.
Let me tell you, wrinkles started showing up really fast and furious a couple years ago. I just embraced them, you know.
I do too. I earn them.
You do, really. What can you do?
Okay.
I have wrinkles from the way I sleep. I sleep on my side, and then I sleep with my hands like under my face. So, you know, your whole face is like this. And the bad thing about that is it stays in the morning. It's going to be there for like 2 hours. I mean, I've got it at work until like 9 o'clock. So you wait, Christy, you'll see.
Yeah, you wait. Yeah, you just wait. Eric want you to be on their show called The Penalty Box.
Yeah, I think Tim and Bam are kind of digging you, Christy.
I think they're digging it, and that'd be a good show.
What is the penalty box?
Eyeliner.
Guideliner.
I'll talk all about the eyeliner for him. When do they go on the penalty box?
Well, we will connect you.
We will get you all connected. Yeah.
You will have fun, but not as much fun as with us.
Okay. Well, I mean, you ladies are a hoot. I eyeliner, full face cream.
Well, we'd like to end it on a happy, a high note, because it is your story was very important, and I'm glad that we got it out to people. And like we said, if one person,
Absolutely.
watches this,
Well,
and it
I
helps
think this is
them,
going to resonate with so many people.
I
And,
agree.
some people maybe haven't even really thought about it yet, but in listening, they may say, you know what, that's me. I feel that way. I have felt that way. And, we got to do something to fix it.
And I think what you validated is a large thing that helps women that are suffering right now is that they realize that somebody else is going through something similar or the same. And I think once there's a community, you don't feel so isolated and alone. And I think that's probably one of the keys to, moving forward for a lot of people.
I agree. I couldn't have healed the way I did had I not constantly sought out support, whether it was a girlfriend who was willing to let me cry on her shoulder, or like you said, Michelle, somebody who was willing to speak truth into my ear when I was doubting myself, gathering kind of like a tribe, because not every friend can be there for you all the time.
Right.
So it helps if you have a couple, a group of different people who do have different roles in your life,
Well, I do expect Michelle to be there for me all the time.
I'm here for you.
Okay, Eric wants to know what's your favorite pizza.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I love pizza. Oh my goodness. Pepperoni and sausage.
Do you like green olives on your pizza?
I do not like olives.
Okay.
How about pineapple?
No.
Yes.
I do not think pineapple belongs on pizza. No.
Okay.
Okay, Brian Monahan joined us. Oh, they think we're drunk. They know we're not drunk.
They know
Hey,
better.
Brian, we plugged your book, and we're trying
And
to
and it looks like Jim's going to share with some people that he knows will benefit from hearing your story.
Oh, sweet.
And we appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because
There we go.
I promise it's going to help people. I
It will.
promise. So,
Yeah. So let's mention one more
you want to leave
time.
us? Yeah. You want to leave us with anything, Christy?
Just, a word of encouragement to anybody who's going through it. I mean, I just know everybody goes through something, and we all hit that bottom, that kind of that bottom, and just please hang in there. Please reach out to somebody. Please don't give up. Please believe in yourself. And I do believe every single person on the planet has a purpose and has a mission, and you are here for a reason. And again, I know it's easier said than maybe to believe, but just if you could take heart from my story and know that it will get better and this season will pass.
That's right.
That was inspirational.
That was perfect.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Christy, so much.
Wow.
And we're just so happy for you. We're just happy
I
that you
know.
are where you are now.
Thank you.
And it takes a lot to share that journey. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't do that. And so we
Right. No, we want everybody to think that everything's just perfect all the time.
Oh,
Okay.
I will tell you all the messy.
we can talk about that on the after.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's where all the grill stories come out. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And please tell your friends, please subscribe, please like our Facebook page, and take a lesson from Jim if you know someone who you think could really benefit from this, and we all do. Please share with them.
And please remember this, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you're entered into a drawing to win a free page in Brian Monahan's new book. So thanks for coming, guys. See you next week.
All righty, bye-bye.
Bye.